Hey everyone, it's Noah Barnett, the head of Purple Shadow Gaming, and we are back. We are back for season 2. We kind of ended the year ahead of Worlds, and there wasn't a lot to talk about. And we're here to talk about competitive play and about leveling up. And now we have a lot to talk about. Season 2 of competitive play is about to start. Our first 18 months of competitive play, we kind of got to put behind us. We got to put Rapunzel's in the box. I don't know, in like a case maybe. We have a bunch of other cards that we have to kind of, sunset, like our friend Popsicle. But we're going to focus more on going forward. And so as always, I'm joined by two members of Purple Shadow Gaming, Andy and Sir Lore/Justin. Hey Justin. Hey Andy. How's it going? Welcome to season 2.
How are you?
Clearly I'm jazzed based on how stellar that intro was, Justin. I'm a little rusty, but I upgraded my setup. I'm excited. I feel like a real podcaster now. And I get to bring you all on. And we get to talk Lorcana. We're back. We're back talking about it. So I'm doing great. What about you, Justin?
Doing awesome. I love the new format. Looking forward to less RNG type play. Feels like it's more skill based. You get to interact. You always get to have a game. I'm super excited for this next format.
Yeah. And we're going to get totally into that. But before we do, Andy, you're accompanied by your friend Elsa.
Yes, that's my upgrade to my setup. And she's amazing. But yeah, I'm looking forward. Like Justin said, less RNG. It's just who draws strengths first, right? That's it.
So yeah, completely RNG?
Strength or buzz. And then, next game.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk all about this, get into it. But before we do, I would love to kind of spring a question on both of you. I didn't prepare you all for this, but it's something we talk about a lot as a group. But I would love to know, like, season 1, 18 months of Lorcana competitive play. Obviously, more than that, I think we're on 2 years or so, 3 years, maybe 2 years of Lorcana, but really the last 18 months. So it all started back kind of in March of 2024. We're now almost in the fall of 2025. What was something that you'll always remember about season 1 as it relates to competitive play? Andy? Anything that sticks out, like any memories, or even, multiple memories is fine too. But like, what are you excited to carry with you from season 1?
I think the biggest thing is going to my first DLC and actually this is my first competitive TCG. So I've never been to any tournaments for anything other than probably Hearthstone, like online tournaments. So it was a big step for me. 9 grueling rounds is a lot. I didn't expect it to be. And yeah, by the end of the night, I was just like, can we just go get a salad with some barbecue chicken and call it a day?
Buffalo chicken.
Yeah,
that's
buffalo
the key.
chicken.
That's the key. And your first DLC was Atlanta, right? So you got to be there at the beginning.
Yes, Atlanta was the first one. They grew along the way. I think the last one I went to was Vegas. So I think that was the second to last one. So they got better and about systems. The first one was it was a little wonky at first, but it was my first one, so I couldn't compare it to anything. But I did learn a lot on preparation, for competitive play, practicing with teammates, and that's why I love being part of this team. I can test with you guys, so definitely learning along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. That was such a special moment. That's actually I think we had maybe met before that, but not really. And then we really met during that time, and we had a great dinner the night before, and then obviously the same dinner the next night. We just kept having the same dinner, buffalo chicken strips on a salad, and just good company. It was a lot of fun. Definitely good memories from that. I think before I kick it over to you, Justin, I think the thing I'll remember about Atlanta the most is all of the Comic-Con or it's not Comic-Con, it was Momo or whatever. I was
Momo-Con, yeah.
What are we doing? I had been to competitive TCG. I played Magic for a long time, Pokemon, my sons play. So we've been to big TCG events. I have never been to a comic cosplay thing at that scale. Back in the day, maybe. But that was wild. And so we're a bunch of Lorcana guys walking through crowds of cosplay, and we're where are we going? And then my favorite thing is at the top of the escalators to get to the basement where they let us Lorcana players play in the Atlanta Convention Center thing we were at. There's 2 security guards, and they're Lorcana badge. Do you have a badge? Because people kept thinking it was cool down there or something. And they're oh, we just want to go down there. And they're you can't come down here. You need the Lorcana badge. So then you flip the Lorcana badge out, and you feel like you're a VIP, access to the cellar. So it was a lot of fun. And it was great meeting you and being able to develop friendships. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
a one thing I'll remember a lot is just the people you meet, right? Like it's a community of people. Yes, we're competitive, but it's a community too.
Yeah.
Justin, Sir Lore,
Yeah,
what's a memory you
I
have from season one?
love the question. I would agree with the people piece as well. The LCQs they stick out in my mind as like a highlight actually for my entire of 2025. I got to round 4 and got eliminated. I took it really hard and I just needed to disappear into the smallest possible corner where no one was at for, I don't know, 15, 30 minutes. And then I came back out enough time to kind of witness a good friend qualify for the LCQ. Ended up being one of like the feature pictures. And he was so emotional about qualifying and like just like getting to just be near the joy of it and get to congratulate him after he got there. It kind of helped to suck me out of my deep moment of loss. And but it still was all the great loss comes great reward and all of it comes together and it was great.
Yeah. What a moment. Like as you're telling that story, I'm getting like goosebumps because I do remember like that was so exciting. Like I got knocked out round 2. My son got knocked out round 2. Andy, how far did you make it in the LCQs? Round 2 as well, 3?
Round 4, a
Round
Rapunzel.
4.
I fell for a Rapunzel trap. He top decked the Rapunzel and came back to the game. I was like, I should be fine. I'll start questing because I'm like behind. He's at 14 lower. I'm at like 2. I'll start turning sideways. He has 1 character on board, draws a Rapunzel, and comes back into the game. And I'm just like, why?
Sorry to open a wound, Andy.
It happens. It happens. I learned from that mistake. I have not, I haven't fallen for the trap unless I made it happen myself, just so I can like win the game. Since
You
then,
intentionally fall for the trap now, whereas before
exactly.
it was like,
Yes.
I didn't think about that. Well, in spite of Rapunzel, Rapunzel is definitely going to be a memory of season 1, both casting it, playing around it, getting the DLC promos of Rapunzel. Like, I love that card. I was looking at them the other day because I played my last set champs and I actually won and I went back to Amber Steel, which I hadn't played since like set 4. And I was like, this deck is so good. But my favorite thing was like Rapunzel. That artwork it's beautiful. It's
It
beautiful.
is beautiful.
I digress. Let's go back to round celebrating the LCQs and the people. I think there was 3, 4, maybe 4 people from Arizona that, like we knew or were aware of that won 5 rounds and got in. We knew a few people that were already in nationals, like that group community celebrating other people, seeing people's faces like that. It's so cool to see people like achieve something great. And excited for more memories like that in the season to come. Justin, I think Luke and I's version of your like I need a minute. We lost round 2, so I don't know what we were like complaining about. We were a long shot away. You guys are round 4s. We didn't play another game of Lorcana the entire U.S. Nationals after round 2. We played 2 rounds of Lorcana that entire trip, and then we just hung out. We celebrated people. We went to Disneyland. Like we were just like we're good. We're satisfied. Like this was a good time. But still in the midst of kind of the shadow of the game, which is amazing. Well, enough about season 1. Season 1 has faded away. Now we're moving into season 2. The headlines, and we're not going to be the first random people to say this. Season 2 is going to be interesting. There's lots of changes with the announced rotation. We're obviously only going to be playing with 5 sets now going forward. There's a bunch of reprints, obviously in set 9, Fabled. But the format is going to change, and we've been discussing kind of like what that actually means, and you both alluded to it in kind of the intros. But let's talk about it. Rotation happens. What specifically do you think is going to change about the game? And in more depth, like how are people going to need to maybe think differently about season 2 as they prepare compared to what maybe we're used to in season 1? Andy?
I think the biggest takeaway is how worse red is now. It used to be like there used to be like red decks, steel decks, and you had to tag towards one of them. Like aggro players can tag for control matchups, which is red, and just go fast. But then if they're steel, then you kind of just get aggro just dies because steel just has the best removal in the game. So now with red gone, it's going to be mainly steel and trying to keep up board presence because now there's no reset buttons. And I think that's going to be the biggest learning curve for a lot of people. They're going to not rely on that board wipe. They have to play the board, make the right trades, be patient, and I think that's going to be the biggest change I'll see.
Yeah. You mentioned a bunch of things in there that I do want to come back to. So you mentioned kind of the downfall of Ruby, or the perceived downfall of Ruby. We're not sure, right? But like there is this lacking kind of like clear powerhouse that Ruby brings to the table. And you said Ruby and Steel were kind of the complements that like kind of controlled what the other players were doing in some way or another more efficiently. With Ruby out of the question, now it's Steel. And so it's kind of like Steel X is kind of the obvious starting point for a lot of decks. If you kind of want to maintain that. I think that's huge and important. The second thing you mentioned, I just want to highlight, which is like board presence. And I kind of fell into this trap. I was playtesting set 9 and I was playing against Ruby Amethyst. And I was like, do I play to the board? Like, how many characters do I commit to the board? Can I keep going? And I was like, wait a second, what are they going to do? And so I just like put 6 characters out on board and was like, what do you like? Literally, what are you going to do about my board? And it was such a interesting mindset shift to be like, no, there's no be prepared. There's no be prepared. I do not have to worry about that. There's no Sisu. I don't have to worry about that. I can just go wide and then kind of, play to the board, as you mentioned, from there. And so, yeah, I've definitely experienced that already at the set. And it's awkward, right? It's weird kind of figuring that out. Justin, what's your initial takes? What do you see changing, and kind of maybe even anything you've already felt in our testing? Because, we've already started digging in and start testing, kind of playing all the decks and seeing what's going on. But what's the biggest shift for you?
I think players are going to have to get more accustomed to playing with fewer cards in hand. There's obviously not as much card draw, and so it's going to feel awkward. I know we mentioned less RNG, so I think maybe to some extent you still have that, and you're going to have that with most games besides maybe chess. You're going to have some level of randomness that makes the game fun. But the idea now, comfortability of trying to learn how to play with less cards in your hand and play towards what's coming up next potentially. Also, early game choices towards how many characters you do commit to the board to preserve hand size for potentially larger characters you play later are going to be an adjustment as well, where people might have been accustomed to going a 1-drop on 1, 2 1-drops on 2. But if they don't have a clear path forward to drawing more cards, that's maybe not the best play line. So it's going to be an interesting change in that way, I think.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that as much with the lacking card draw, which we've talked a lot about and others have commented on. It does make every decision you make in the first, let's call it 3 to 4 turns, like really interesting. Like all the way from, how you alter differently. I found myself being actually more conservative in my alters than I was historically, at least from the last set. And maybe that's just me being nervous, with this current set and trying to figure it out. But things I would have like clearly altered away, like let's say something like Let the Storm, or not let Strength of the Raging Fire, where I'm like, okay, I don't need this till turn 3, like, or turn 4. I don't necessarily need to like keep this song in my opening hand. I don't want to get Ursula and I don't want to ink it. I would rather draw it later. I've been like questioning whether that's the right choice, and kind of thinking like in my opening hand, I might need to be preparing for turns 1, 2, 3, 4, or even like, 1, 2, 4, and kind of thinking creatively there. So I think you're absolutely right. I just hadn't thought about it in that way, where even what you choose to ink, maybe you don't play your 1-drop, maybe you ink, and just pass. Like it feels awkward.
It almost feels like we're playing a constructed limited, because like when you play limited, like drafts, sealed events, you don't really want to play a 1-drop because you want to play. You usually don't. You play what, 4 1-drops in the 40 card deck, and
Yeah.
it's usually inked after turn 2. And if you have a lot of uninkables in your hand, you're just like, do I need to play this 1 2 1 3, or is it more important for me to get to 6 ink? So yeah, I think what Justin mentioned is a good point. Inking decisions are going to be a lot harder for sure.
The other thing you mentioned was maybe some more of the randomness. I think another way to reframe it, and both of you talked to this at the beginning as well, is I think it's going to be harder to play this game. Like, to be honest, I think it feels harder. It feels like a little bit more complex. It feels like, again, every decision mattered before, but I think it's just like you really need to know your game plan and know the game plan of your opponent I feel like more than you maybe historically had to, or at least to be competitive. Maybe the most competitive players were already doing this, but I think you kind of have to all like everyone's going to need to level up a little bit, which is natural. It's season 2. We need to like try to learn something new. I've definitely felt like that. I've actually felt a lot more pressure in testing of like, oh, I really need to like memorize these lines and I need to really memorize like what my opponent's doing and when do I do this? When do I need this? I think it's tough. The other thing I wanted to bring up to you all, because I haven't formed my own opinion on this, is there was always this argument in season 1 that the game is very like play draw dependent. And in a best 2 out of 3, like whoever wins the die roll gets to go first potentially twice and someone else has to go first second. Best of 2 was a little bit different. You both got to go first once and then there was a point system, etc. For season 2, they've at least, competitive play is basically committed to going back to best 2 out of 3. In sealed and limited, I felt like going first was hugely advantaged, even more than in constructed or in core. What's our take now, like on play draw dependent? Does it shape how you have to build your decks? How are you thinking about like how does that factor in? And you're shaking your head. What are you thinking about this?
So yeah, I think our deck building has to change a lot. I think a lot of people did do this for set 8, but like because of the best of 2, but like you have to lean more into your on the draw cards and play more of those that type of cards. So like, Belle, Elsa, things that swing tempo for you. So just being mindful of that. Like I think some people want to just play on the like let's just win all the dice rolls, and if I just go 2 quester, 3 quester, 4 quester, all unlinkable, it doesn't matter. As long as I see that line, I'm going to win like 10 out of 10 times. But that's not how you should play the game because you might not always win the dice roll. So like leaning towards your on the draw cards more so that you can break that best of 3 on the draw play. If you do lose the die roll, that way you get that advantage at the end, or just win 2 in a row on the draw.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like, yeah, if you feel confident on the play, but you can't win on the draw against certain matchups, like that's not great, right? Because then you are leaving it up to that dice roll. I do appreciate what you said is like you could just prepare for on the draw and then win both on the draws as well, which I actually really like because it's actually interesting. It's like if I'm in the worst position, I know I can at least win on the draw with these decks, which again is really interesting to think through too. Like, will we get to a point where you want to go second? I'm not saying we're there yet, but I'm just saying maybe someday we'll opt to go second because of card advantage. I've actually opted to go second and sealed a few times. Then I learned and didn't do that. But I was just like thought about it and was like, this feels like a good idea, right? Like I'm going to just prioritize not going small and I'm just going to have more cards and win over time. But it's definitely really interesting. What do you think, Justin? How have you maybe experienced already, or how are you thinking about preparation differently in season 2 because of that?
Initially, my thoughts are that the play draw disparity is not as large as it used to be. I might attribute a couple factors to that. Maybe there aren't as many high roll on the play type strong cards that are so good, that if you're on the play and you see a single one of them, it's basically game over. It wasn't quite that extreme before, but sometimes it kind of felt that way. And I think there we've kept some of the strong on the draw stuff. And then I think there is an element of having more cards because card draw is not as good. So maybe there's some scheming design behind the scenes there where they're like trying to mesh the two, right? If I are on the draw, they have more cards. Let's take card draw away from the people on the play, take away the high roll cards. So maybe they even out kind of like the play draw disparity. But I'm just postulating as to potentially why it feels that way right now. And it could just be early set.
Yeah. Speaking of like them scheming in the background, there was a recent interview with the game designers and one of the co-founders or the co-creators of Lorcana talking about how when they were thinking about reprint decisions, they really felt strongly about certain cards and strategies like having their moment already. Like, oh, we've already done that. We've already seen that. And so we really need to put those on the shelf. And we want players to, how I heard it was explore new strategies. And so one thing I'm curious about, and I would love your all's take on this kind of just briefly, which is like, do we also need to begin thinking like completely different as we're thinking about deck builds? I'll give an example. There's a, deck popular on Twitter right now that's going around about the racers strategy, right? Like, let's go all in on racers. And if you really like lean into racers, there's actually a bunch of synergy cards there, right? And it's like, that's interesting, right? There's the new princess cards. They've clearly celebrated that you want to play princesses. It's a big thing. It's one of the starter decks. They've been trying to make this. It's Lorcana. Princesses make sense. They brought back a bunch of princesses. But do we need to go explore those edges? Because the game developers are actually telling us, like, we've intentionally designed, and they've play tested this pretty heavily. Like, we want new strategies to be thoughtful. Any kind of perception there, or is it really like, no, it's core TCG strategy, like good trades, card draw, play the best cards?
Yeah, that's my initial thought. I'm gonna play the best cards.
And he's like, play best cards, win
play the
games.
best cards. Play Genie. That's a good card. It's evasive, quests for 2. It's unlinkable. It's fine.
Hey,
it draws you a card.
Let's not give away strategies. Do not play Amethyst. Amethyst is bad.
Amethyst is bad. Do not play this.
Yeah, we were joking. We're called Purple Shadow Gaming, and it's like Amethyst Sapphire, Amethyst Steel, like all of these decks we talk about a lot. Amethyst X. Sorry, Andy. What's your take here? Obviously, play the best cards. Is there anything that's at least curious to you that you might go explore, or you think's fringe worthy that is at least like, hey, maybe we need to try that or go at least see? I'm thinking about Mill, or there's Circle of Life with graveyard or discard recursion. Maybe I want to deck someone, like I already said that but like maybe I need to deck someone out because like right now you have to like quest to win, which is like actually really hard. There's no these like Tamatoa, dime for 20 type movements. It's actually really hard to get to 20 lore on some of these. But any fringes that you think is interesting?
I think the archetypes, like you said, the racers, the hero, green blue, I think those archetypes are pretty cool to explore. I like the racer strategy, but it feels like you have to win the dice roll for it to work. Kind of reminds me of like Mufasa. Even they're same colors as well, but basically like turn 1, turn 2, Gaston, Rapunzel, and then basically game over. If you go on to play, if they can't answer that Gaston, that's how it feels. And on the draw, it feels like they can't. There's no good red cards anymore, so that's the hardest part. But the shell's there. I think as we move forward into the sets, maybe there's some on the draw yellow or Amber and Ruby cards that come that are on the draw for that deck, and then we just slot them in and we're ready. You just practice now and you prepare. Just kind of like I think of Blurple. I played Blurple since set 3-4, and like that deck was so bad compared to the rest. Steel Song would just eat it up. Green Steel, everything was bad until all these cards came recently that have made it better. Playing a free bell last set and singing Friends on turn 2, that's a high roll. But hey, now Blurple did that, and they made a name for themselves. So I think Ruby, the Racer deck, can make a name for themselves down the road. Just something to think about.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the breakout success with the location deck.
Oh, yeah.
last season, I think one of the DLCs where it just like came out. It was like the only deck, and it's just like locations, spam locations, do all that. It was interesting because it just took a different approach and said, hey, I want to try to win the game slightly in a different way than maybe everyone else is thinking about the game. I think about the Atlanta winner that kind of had this like card advantage, like bounce, play things. Yeah, like not the highest powered cards, but like together, it worked. And I'm curious to see if we see any more of those. Justin, any thoughts here? Anything that's like piqued your interest that's a alternative way maybe to play the game outside of play the best cards?
I'm of the play the best cards mindset. I don't see enough new types of cards, like kind of when they came out with Planeswalkers and Magic, to really change options. We've kind of already seen an item deck. We've kind of seen the location deck, and then I'm not sure what else would be there, but I'm also not a deck builder. I usually take what's out there and modify, and work grind hard on the existing strategies. I don't know if there's any cards though. What is nice to see is blue green potentially get an opportunity to be a good ink combination. One of the top tier rather, because it's always been a ink combination that people have wanted. And then 2 cards that are kind of starting to kind of eke in there because there's not a lot of other options, which is the mob song.
Mob Song.
And
some of the
then
big
Tingle
sing
Keeper.
togethers. I think sing together really want you to sing together. I think that's like the developers are like, no, trust me, this mechanic is amazing. And they're just trying to make it work. And that's why they brought all of them back. I do think that's going to happen.
Yeah, maybe red green with the new Were they max goofs or
Max, yeah. Yep.
with the singer nines, and they get to
Power
if
line,
you
yeah.
if you sing with it, then you get to sing another song for free. Seems really powerful.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. I think singing is going to take a different effect. I think singing together is interesting. I do think they're really trying to push the like, I don't know what to call it, like faction decks, like whether it's racers or allies or heroes or princesses. Maybe we'll have villains come through at some point, like really strong. Even just like the new Lilo that like helps out aliens randomly, and you're like, wait, what's an alien? And you start reading cards again, and you're like, oh, this is an alien. Like that's really cool. Um, I think some of that stuff's really interesting, and I think it'll be cool and neat to see that come together. I think that the one thing that's really, and I mentioned this a little bit, that's like kind of strange, and again, maybe I'm just giving away that I played Tamatoa and Dime too much, is like the questing to win. Like you have to just get like 2 lore, and then 4 lore, and then 6 lore, and like it's just like very grindy.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, maybe again as like a Tamatoa Dime player, I'm like, wait a second, I don't just gain 12 lore in one turn. Like, how do I win? Or even like Shark, you could just like, Shark, you might be able to still go off with a little bit. You just don't have as much backing there, where you're just like, oh, Shark, Pirate's Life, string together a bunch of actions and you win the game on a turn while controlling your board. Like, you kind of have to win slowly, maybe is the way to describe it. Like, you don't win all of a sudden. You kind of
Hmm.
have to like gradually win the game, which I think is going to be really cool and really healthy.
I think so too. I think
Any final words on the season 2 meta, or at least the maybe week 1, month 1, kind of really the game style or play? And then if not, we want to kind of just highlight a quick lightning round of what fabled cards that are new do we actually think are going to make an impact on competitive play? Any last words, Justin?
Uh, no, just lots of challenging and being patient.
Patience and challenging. I like it. Andy.
I guess yeah, what Justin said, it's just gonna be a lot of patience. Your mistake. I feel like the mistakes are gonna be more evident now. Like I feel like in before it was like, oh, I just didn't draw B prep, that's why I didn't win. Um, or I didn't draw dime, that's why I couldn't quest for 20. I have 2 of them, they're
That
in
was
my
in the bottom
deck.
3. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
But now it's gonna be like, I shouldn't have quested here because I just gave them bell value, and now my board's gone, and they have 4 characters. I have 1, and I'm like that, and it's gonna be more evident. So it's gonna be like, oh, that's when I lost. So next time, I'm not gonna turn sideways and give value for that bell. And you have to learn. You have to adjust that mindset of just like questing quick because you just want to win, and like the goal is to get to 20. So why don't I just exert my characters? It's fine.
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
piggyback on that actually a little bit. Earlier today, I had exactly that, and so I'll build on it as well. They they played 2 strengths on me early in the game. A local friend actually earlier today, they beat me to my first
So
strength. I'm
rude.
like, I'm
So
so
rude.
losing here, and then they made the mistake of questing with their lady into a Cobra. I hit it with Cobra, moved the damage off with Bell onto their Calhoun, and all of a sudden it was a big swift, like swing in tempo. But I think the key is there is though they openly admitted this is their first game of this set where I've been grinding on it for 4 to 5 weeks. I think we're going to run into more players that don't fall into those traps, and we're probably going to develop higher skill level players. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens when we run into that more often, and how do we then win? It doesn't become a, well, you had a series of 3 cards that were better off the top than my 3 cards were. Is that how it ends up feeling?
That's a good point. I'm gonna actually piggyback off of that. I think one thing I've learned is because you only get to like probably the top 30 maybe cards, you might not
Maybe.
see all
Maybe.
maybe 20, 20 sounds right. You might not They might not have the removal. So sometimes you're gonna have to read your opponent and be like, all right, they inked this removal turn 2, turn 3, turn 1, whatever it was. They have max 1, 2 left. Do I just turn sideways now and make them have it? Like, I think that's gonna be a big a skill that you're gonna have to learn. Not just be like, all right, I'm gonna play around everything, and this is just gonna be a big stalemate. You can bait out something and create value for yourself. It's just creating those openings for yourself. So I think that's gonna be where the skill gap. We're gonna see the skill gap.
Yeah. I'll build on that too. I think my encouragement for this set is to actually play as many of the decks as possible. Even once you've set on your deck, is to actually pilot the other decks. Because what then you can do is you can basically begin to find patterns where you're like, oh, when this deck is, let's say it's the green blue deck, and it's like, when they do this or when they ink this, because I've actually done those plays, it's because I have A, B, or C in my hand, and I'm trying to get it to a 5 or 6, you know, play line like this. So like being able to somewhat predict based on inking behavior and also kind of like play pattern matching, I think it's going to be I think that's what's going to begin to differentiate between like the hyper competitive players and those that are, still competing, but they've kind of just foundational and they're not like, oh, I'm actually playing your deck too while you're playing it.
Right.
And I know there's a bunch of mystery cards and I could be wrong, but I could almost predict like what's in your hand, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to draw into, what your next 3 turns are going to look like. And I can kind of like respond to that. So it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a change. I think it's going to be a shift. But hey, we need a new challenge, right? Like we don't need another 18 months of the same. We need 12 months of new. And we're going to be kicking that all off. And we're going to be reporting back on the journey here on Quest Like a Pro. Final thing, just quick. I know we talked about Fable. We didn't really talk about new cards because honestly, there's not many new cards to talk about. There's 33 of them. I think there's maybe 6. If you add those 2 numbers together that are impactful, that's a random number I picked, not an exact number. But as we close out on this reboot of Quest Like a Pro by Purple Shadow Gaming, what are 3 cards you're excited about because you think that they will actually impact the meta? Justin, you're going to get to go first. Andy, you cannot repeat any cards that Justin say.
How many cards do I get?
You get 3 cards. Andy gets 3. That's 6. That means we've already covered all of them. And I still have to give 3 other cards. So I'm going to have to look up 3 more cards in the set because I'm not going to know any. But 3 cards that you're excited about that are brand new, not repeats, not reprints.
Dang it. I was going to use that loophole.
Well,
we don't talk about Bruno is a reprint. Okay, we can't talk about that card.
We can't talk about it.
Okay,
I won't take all
Justin,
the volleyballs. I won't take all the easy ones. Just one that I'm probably most excited about. Is Dumbo. I like drawing cards. Who doesn't like drawing cards? It's a TCG. So just the ability to allow you to save one of your characters when it's given reckless, or the options to draw lots of ways in decks. I think opens up a lot of strategies. So that I think that I'm really excited about that card. So Dumbo is one. Just because I'm kind of strapped for trying to pick some ones, but not take one from Andy here. I'm gonna go with.
How about this new rule? You have to pick something in a different ink color as well.
Okay.
So now you can't use amethyst anymore.
All
like
right.
Andy, you can use amethyst, but Justin, you cannot use amethyst anymore.
Got it.
So we'll go with, I think it's Nala, the 0/3.
Nala, yep.
So we'll go
0/3
go
for
with
2.
Nala, the 0/3. I'm not playing it, but like I think it's gonna play it in decks, and it's gonna be a year one on the play.
It's
not
actually a
gonna win on the draw.
0/2. Sorry, it's
Okay.
a 0/2, and
Quest
when
for
it
3?
has no damage on it, she gets +1 lore, so she quests for 3,
And resist,
and she
right?
gains resist 1. Yeah,
That's
so
why I
on
thought it was a
play,
0/3.
she's a 0/2 resist 1 quest for 3. She's kind of like the piglet replacement they're talking about.
Mhm.
So that'd be a second card, and then how about a third card? God, I'm also still so focused on cards that were from that are reprints or were other prior sets, but are now good because there's not other good replacements. What's another good card here?
You can pass.
I think
You can just be like, I'm actually done.
I'll just do 2.
Okay, Dumbo and Nala for Justin. Andy, don't start with amethyst.
I'm not. I'm not.
Okay, good.
There's nothing else that's good. It's just Dumbo.
That's true. Yeah, fair enough.
I'm gonna start with the Mickey Mouse, Brave Little Prince. The shift one. If while this card has a card under him, he gets +3/+3 attack and defense and +3 lore. So it's a 3 cost 5/5. I think that's gonna be really interesting. Maybe down the road, I think we're gonna be able to build around him. Or maybe there's something there now that I don't see yet. But I think if we're going into like a board meta, a 5/5 on turn 3 seems pretty good. If you could keep him alive. So that's my first card. And I also love the iconic. Is it iconic?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
iconic. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next card will be Standout. It's a Emerald 3-cost song action. Chosen character gets a +3 attack and gains evasive until the start of your next turn. So if we're like I said, I'm basing this off of what we talked about, the board presence. If we need to get rid of a genie and we need to use, say, a Pegasus 1-drop, Standout might be the card to check that genie. Or it could be anything else with one attack that doesn't have evasive, because you give it evasive and then it gains that evasive until the following turn. So that's pretty cool, I think.
You could definitely use it to like challenge, but also like protect a character. Like if they don't have evasive, you can like get in a good quest.
And it's
along
not
those lines. Yeah.
it's not challenge or 3. It's 3 strength. So it
3
retains
strength.
it on the defense on the way back too.
So
Great
it's pretty
call out,
nice.
Yeah.
The last card is Cruella de Vil, Sapphire card.
Dang it!
It's
I wanted to use that one. I love that card.
I think
Okay.
it's solid. During your turn, each opposing character with cost 2 or less gets -1. And once during your turn, whenever a character with cost 2 or less is banished, put the top card of your deck into your inkwell face down and exerted. I think it's an interesting ability that we might see later on. I like it. It does a lot. I don't know what it's for yet, but it does a lot.
Absolutely. Those are great ones. So just to recap, it was Cruella, Standout, and Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse, yes.
Left you a 3-cost steel card that you didn't call out.
I didn't want to talk about that one. What do you mean?
Yeah, we're not talking about that.
Knows now.
We don't talk about Bruno, Sir Lore.
We don't talk about that card. No one likes that. No one likes that card.
That card's
right now.
bad. That card's bad. It should be $2.
It should.
Okay. If you know what card we're talking about, leave it in the chat. Leave it in your review. We are not going to comment on it. It's a card that costs 3. Okay. My cards, not that one, are Circle of Life. Again, I come from Magic background. Like recursion out of the discard is really interesting. We have a lot of cards now where you draw cards and discard cards, and so getting a large character, in your discard to bring back. It's a sing together. There's a lot of singers in Amber, but obviously now if you tag team that with Ruby has singers. So I think it's interesting. I think Circle of Life will show up in the set 9. I think it'll be even better as we get into set 10 and 11, as kind of this new meta like matures a little bit. So that's my first card. My second card, let me pull it up here. My second card is Genie, the Emerald Genie. So 4-cost inkable, 2/3, evasive, quest for 2. While this character is exerted, your other characters get +2. So lots of interesting interactions with this card. Again, if we're in a challenger board state kind of meta, like giving able global +2 is really interesting. And being able to do that in Emerald, I think is really helpful for that because it doesn't really have kind of some of that power level in that way. And my last card I'll choose. I'm scrolling through the list now just to see. You stole Cruella.
I will mention the Genie Enchanted for that card is amazing. I love the Enchanted.
It is pretty
set.
stellar. So I'm stuck on, there's 2 steel cards. Well, there's a steel card we're not going to talk about. And then there's 2 other steel cards that I think are impactful. It would be Scar and Jasmine, the new Jasmine, both Enchanteds, which I think are really, really cool. I'll speak to the Jasmine because I think it has 2 different abilities that are really interesting. It's a 5-cost inkable, which I already like. It's a princess. It's a hero. So again, it could fit into those strategies. During your turn, this character has evasive. So again, it's a 3/7 with evasive on your turn, which is helpful. It has 3 strength, which I think is going to be very critical in this meta as a break point. It quests for 2. It's a 7 body. Like it's just a good, solid character. But then I think its next ability is choose and discard a card. This character gains challenger +3 this turn. Again, makes this 3/7 become a 6/7 or a 9/7 or a 12/7. I think the undervalued thing about this card on the surface is that you can discard as many cards as you want, which is great. But also there are other reasons you want to do that. Maybe you want to cast, my gosh, I'm blanking on the card. What's the card where if you have 0, you draw 3?
Desperate Plan.
Desperate Plan. Again, like if I need to put more songs in the discard for some of the, like the card where it costs one less for every song that you have in the discard. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's like an old card. Maybe there's something interesting there. For song or for Circle of Life, maybe I need to discard a card to be able to get it back on play. Maybe I'm playing against Clarabelle and I'm like, I don't want you to draw a bunch of cards, so I'm going to discard my hand down and like we'll play fair fight to the board. Lots of interesting things here, but again, because it's unlimited, I think it's really interesting. I think there's a lot of opportunities there that may come into a factor. We have cards that come back, so like we have Lilo and Stitch that come back from the yard. Like you can pay to bring them back, so like again, you can get value there. I think there's some interesting things.
Scoof does it too. When he quests, he can play a song of 4
play a
costs or
song
less
from the discard,
discard for free.
Yeah. So I just think the idea of being able to manipulate when you discard and how you discard is interesting by design, and obviously has a huge upside. It's not, just a passive thing. +3 is nothing to shy away from. And I think being able to +3 plus do something interesting with a discarded card could make that really powerful. So I'll stay there. I think there are a few more cards that are interesting that we didn't discuss. But again, it's gonna be fun. We're a few days away from the Fabled release. I can't wait to play Limited. Andy and I are going to do Two-Headed Giant, which is going to be great, or Two-Headed Illumineer.
I don't know I don't know.
Something.
We're gonna win this event. I don't know what it's called though.
It's gonna be a blast. Can't wait to have more conversations with you, Justin and Andy. We might bring a few other members of the PSG team on throughout this season, which is going to be exciting when we do tournament reports. Some of us are going to CCS, PPG, obviously the Milwaukee DLC, lots of fun things. There's local events like the Reign of the Desert, I think is coming back here in Arizona. All sorts of fun things to look forward to. So Andy, Justin, thanks for being here. Look forward to doing this again with you. And if you like this show, definitely check out or definitely review this or comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Also, if you're interested in some of the best sleeves on the market, hit up purpleshadowgaming.com to pick up some Viper sleeves at a discount. Use Quest Like a Pro to get a discount on your first order. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you. We'll see you next time.